Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check brought to you by DB. A reminder, as always, guys, there is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about markets. Welcome, guys. Happy Friday. Because I am back this week for the first time in a few weeks, you guys get to hear me reiterate once again how ranging conditions do tend to pass the time by pretty quickly. I mean, it is already Friday. It's difficult for me to believe that. I have now been back officially for a full week, and we are pretty much in almost the exact same place that we were on Monday. So I'm Snorlax. You guys also know me as Tommy. I'm joined by Max and Louie. Welcome, guys. I hope you all have had a great week as well. Before we can start cooking, before we can start sharing all of the alpha that we have prepared for you guys, and even though the market's been ranging, I don't think that we are very far from a larger high time frame trend developing. Before we can talk about that, though, guys, I'm going to need you to smash that like button for us. Fridays, we never know what we're going to get from you, but I always like Friday. I love Friday. It's the day before the weekend. If we could smash the likes today, we will do everything that we can, like I said, to cook you guys up as much alpha as we possibly can. But yeah, getting a bit more granular as far as kind of the way that today is traded, but also the way the week has traded. It's been very choppy, right? It's been very choppy. There's been a hint of ETH strength throughout this week. Is it present today? I guess Bitcoin is technically leading the market today. So they're kind of going back and forth, right? A lot of ping-ponging between Bitcoin and ETH, a lot of ping-ponging here within this range. But I will say one of the things that I told the Discord this morning was that I don't think the next trip towards a range extremity is going to be deceptive, right? Like in the past, we've had multiple tests of range lows. We've had multiple tests of range highs. Very, I guess, tidy price action thus far on majors. But I tend to believe that the next tap is not going to be deceptive, right? It's not going to be a fake out. It's probably more likely to be a huge breakout or breakdown, just given the amount of positioning that we continue to put on at these levels. And I think that's especially true for something like Bitcoin, right? Which, I mean, we kind of made our first higher high on Bitcoin a few weeks ago. And that was our first higher high on Bitcoin since effectively like May. So Bitcoin's next trip towards range highs, I would tend to believe would probably lead to high time frame trend brewing just based on the current market structure, right? I mean, we've kind of been building up these higher low after higher low after higher low on Bitcoin when I'm zooming out. And I think the Bitcoin price action looks a lot more constructive because of that. ETH, something's better left unsaid. We'll talk about that later on stream, but I think as long as Bitcoin is, as you know, I had to throw that in there, Max. But as long
you know what you did, you were just like cruising, and then you're just like little jab, just had to get that in there, Such an ETH bully, man. You're just an ETH bully. It's okay. It's okay.
I had to, but I will say, like, with all my ETH FUD, I have been actually outlining some ETH bullish scenarios in the Discord this week. If the audience can believe it, I have been doing that, and Max and Louie can kind of vouch for that a little bit. But I do want to see it, just like Sol and just like Bitcoin. I want to see some. I'm probably going to use this phrase a few times on the show. I want to see some ceilings broken, because I feel like crypto as a whole has kind of had these ceilings where, Bitcoin finally conquered its first one. It made a higher high. I'd like to see the ceiling at 70K broken. For ETH, that ceiling's kind of at like 2,800. I want to see that ceiling broken. For Solana, I mean, the ceiling right now is at around 160, but the higher time frame range high is around $190 to $200. So those are ceilings I'd like to see broken. And then, of course, for altcoins, if you are in the trenches, when meme coins have been hitting this like 400 or 500 market capitalization level, they have been getting rejected near there as well. So I think, just given the context of Bitcoin in an uptrend structurally since the August 5th bottom, it makes sense that you see these ceilings broken soon if we are to continue higher. And for me, that's really, I think, how I'm framing crypto here over the next few weeks, obviously in Q4. And whereas I think equities are much more simple. You're literally just trading effectively the volatility index. But yeah, I went a little long with my opening spiel today. I didn't mean to do that, but it is Friday. Like I said, I do love Fridays, and I'd love to know what you guys are seeing in the market. Of course, really strong bounce here over the last 24 hours from the coins, and yeah, let's go ahead and open up the floor.
Happy Friday, everyone. Tommy, that was great. Tommy, this is the only show we've been on together this week. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
It feels weird
Well,
because
no, Wednesday we were on the same show with
yes,
Jack.
okay, yeah, it's not as often, man. It's not as often. I like the new market check schedule because 3 always flows better than 5. We're talking over each other and stuff. I'm happy we did this. We got good feedback from people. But it's different, man. It's like it's weird not being on with oh my gosh.
Oh,
Guys. Okay.
Oh, wow.
All right. So we had a couple super chats. So first, to the moon, I forbid you from giving more super chats today. You gave too much yesterday. Your generosity is to the moon. We gave you a free BB Academy for it, and thank you for that. But bro, thank you so much. It's too much. Like, you're too kind. You don't have to keep doing that. Like, we love you. We love hanging out here.
invest your money.
Yeah, go buy some Andy with that money.
Yeah.
Okay, go you give some more next week. All right,
Yeah.
thank you so much, and I'm glad you're enjoying the course. I'm glad that we got that to you. $100 super chat. This is, I mean, guys, you're keeping the lights on a BB. Hey, BB team, my girlfriend is a
Hypnotherapist.
clinical. What is
Clinical hypnotherapist.
Oh, okay. I was like, I didn't know that. Okay. I was wondering if you'd get. I mean, yeah, I don't really know what that is.
I'm never doing that. I don't trust it. Sorry.
I don't
Thank
know
you
what
for the
that
super
is.
chat, though.
Can you
I'm gonna
DM
get
me what
psyoped into something like Get Out.
Yeah.
Oh
Just
my!
get
Oh, is that what
hypnotized.
that is? Like,
Yeah, it's
the
like hypnosis.
hypnotherapy where they okay.
I'm intrigued.
What I could do here? How about this? I know a couple bears on the team and in the community. We're gonna bring you in. Your girlfriend can come in and hypnotize the bears into actually making money and being smart, and they'll flip bullish. Okay.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for the super chat. If you send me a DM on Twitter, I'm not even kidding. I'll try to set up something like that. All right. Thank you so much. That was really generous.
Good
So
thing I'm bullish.
all right, here's what I'm seeing, guys. For one, boys, we're pumping. Okay. So we're gonna redraw this live. All right. So here's what I was looking for. And we talked about this so many times, guys. We talked about this so many times. We're going to do a quick little refresher and then get right to the point. All right. We're not going to go on for too long. We had been in a structured downtrend. I'll make this bigger and I'll make this red. Structured downtrend for basically 7 months. Okay. 6, 7 months, depending on where you want to start the measurement from. Structured downtrend, right? Lower highs, lower lows. It was terrible. We showed up every day, study consistency and study family. This was brutal. Okay. And then something miraculous happened here on September 6th. And we said, okay, if we can bottom here, this could potentially be your first high time frame, high or low, right? We hadn't done that in 6 months. Okay. And then we went on to do something even more important. We had a market structure break to the upside. Now, there was some debate online, is this a real shift to the upside, or is the high that matters over here? I was arguing, and I still argue, that this very much so is a high. We topped out at 65 and we went all the way down to 52.5. That doesn't feel like an internal structure to me. This feels like an internal structure to me. Like, that's really, really small. This felt like a true shift. Okay. And then we said, we're going to probably pull back into this region right in here. But it's possible we could come all the way down to this daily order block right here. We talked about this yesterday. I mean, literally since we were like at the highs too, we were talking about this idea that we could come all the way back down into this region, daily order block, strong demand. And what we need to do is put in a shift of market structure to the upside, market structure break to the upside, and then come back in and make a second consecutive higher low. And in my opinion, we have just done that. That's how I'm viewing things, is that we have just, did we lose Tommy?
Yep.
Damn.
His Wi-Fi was a little spotty.
Damn.
Let's pour one
Too
out
early for a YouTube rugging. Wow, that's... Whew. Well, anyways, we'll keep going. I think we got him back. Okay, welcome back,
There
Tommy.
he is.
But in my opinion, we got a very quick reaction, quicker than I expected, right out of this daily demand zone. And it comes right after our first market structure break to the upside in almost 7 months. All right. So if this is going to continue, I'm not even going to talk locally. Like, could you get a little pullback? Okay, sure. Whatever. That's fine. I don't care. That's fine. You can have your local pullback. I don't really care. This should, in theory, result in a move above this high. And we should continue our new trend of now higher highs and higher lows. We should be moving up from here. I personally don't see much of a reason for Bitcoin to come back down to this level. This was a very, very quick reaction out of this demand. Like, it happened quicker than I thought. I mean, we dipped right into it perfectly. I mean, look at that. Like, just barely dipped in, and immediate V recovery. That's really, really strong, right? That is incredibly strong. Better than I could have hoped for. I kind of figured we'd maybe, come back into here and like do a little range like this, until next week, maybe something like this, and then next week we could start moving up like this. But I mean, we got the V recovery so far. And to me, that's more indicative of basically large money, sophisticated investors being, very out in front of this move and anticipating this move and being ready. The fact that we didn't dip super deep into this demand, like even, down into the middle of it, to me is a sign and a show of strength. So the high time frame trend, in my opinion, looks very good here and primed for higher. Okay. Locally, could we get a pullback? Yes. But it looks really, really good, man. It looks really, really good. So I don't know. It's I mean, it looks primed, honestly, man. It looks primed. And I would say locally, like the region you really need to kind of look out for would be, this region right up in here. Like, this is a daily time frame swing fail candle right here. Okay. If you start pushing back above this region where we got rejected from, I think you're going to expand pretty quickly to the upside. Could you locally run into something up here? Yeah, it's possible. But in my opinion, and we talked about this yesterday, this was the bear's chance to send it lower from this daily swing fail, right? You had a perfect rejection right up in here. Okay. Daily time frame FVG. The bears had their chance to send this thing lower. And unless they can somehow push this back down and this becomes a giant wick, but right now it's a Louis meat stick, I don't really see much cause to be pessimistic here. I think you're probably going to keep moving up, right? And we can watch locally for, some lower time frame levels, right? Like, could you take out some of these highs up in here, and then pull back a little bit into, into this region? Certainly, right? But it looks good, guys. I mean, this is a strong buyback. You have to acknowledge it. It's a strong buyback, and your high time frame trend is looking pretty damn good. I'm not gonna lie. Louis, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I would agree. This move, yes, like I was watching us dip yesterday. I talked about this on Discord this morning, but I was waiting to get home, and I was waiting for that little like classic, like we make a low, it gets bought up, you kind of push a little bit, FOMO in some buyers, some longers, the lows, and then you kind of roll over, make a little range, and then push. But as I finally got to my desk, I was like, damn, I was like, Bitcoin's like pushing here. We were pushing back above, our lost horizontal level there you have in light blue. We were pressing it. I was like, wow, I was like, I think I got to do my buying now. Like, I don't think I'm going to get a pullback here because alts relatively held up quite well. Like Bitcoin dipped like 2 or 3%, made a new low, and most alts held, made either higher lows or made equal lows. They didn't make a lower low. And the volume on the dip for Bitcoin was quite low as well. And because of that and the action I saw coming out of it last night, I was like, listen, this is probably going to push higher here. Because eventually you don't get the sweep of the low. Eventually you get Bitcoins in Chad mode, and alts showing strength, especially where we're at in the cycle. Kind of made me believe that, look, we're going to push here. We're definitely going to push. So yeah, we were bidding last night, and the reclaim, and now the push this morning on Bitcoin, is, looks very promising for a local low here, to continue higher.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you're seeing a lot of beta move pretty hard off these levels. So, I mean, I would say like it's always a little risky trying to like buy into a V recovery, right? But I think the higher time frame context is giving me some really strong signals that we should be moving up, or at least bulls are in control for now. Yeah, really, really, really solid, man. And I love that ETH didn't take out that low, man. I really love that ETH didn't take out that low because like everybody wanted that low. And I kind of thought once we were down here, we would at least take it.
Yep.
But we didn't, at least so far. I guess it's possible we still could, but
you got to
Louis, you got a chart up?
Yeah. I was looking at my Bitcoin chart up. Obviously we look at things different ways. Max had it one way. We've been tracking Bitcoin on the lower time frame, with this look, right? And I'll just show you guys what I was talking about before because it's easier to have the visual in front of you. So we had this low, right? We have this trend line coming down. We tried to bounce on our first move down here. We got rejected at our macro mid range, came back down. So this is where we lost the low, right? We lost this low. And then we also ran this low, right? We ran that low, and this was immediately bought back up. So basically, last night I was looking for either something like this, like coming back, underside retest, maybe run this second low, run all their local lows, and then go, because that's what we've been seeing, right? We're constantly just running all the local lows, chopping. It's a giant chop fest, and that's why everyone was kind of probably expecting that. But instead, we saw, let's zoom in a little bit. We saw a super quick buyback, like Max was saying. Let me get rid of this. We saw a quick buyback. We got back above this descending trend line right away. The key tell for me was once we were pressing, this local low here, we reclaimed this horizontal. That's bullish to me. That's a deviation, of a local low. A reclaim back above, and even sometimes you get the pullback and then go, and then you get your spring. But it's clear that the buyback is so strong here. We're not even getting that right here at the moment. Can we come back down from these highs? Yeah, absolutely, and then go. But I love this setup as like a deviation, reclaim, and then spring. I've been playing it all cycle. It's been working out across the board, and it looks like that's like what we got last night. So. Extremely, extremely strong price action, and push. And we're already filling our inside liquidity. Like yesterday, we formed an FEG on our way down. We are already back above that. Normally, you would see on a weaker Bitcoin price action, you would see us fill the FEG, and turn around, and head back the other way. And it looks like we're just continuing to push here. I think it's very clear, that there's a spot bid, present on Bitcoin at these levels. Another thing I noted, I even tweeted this out last night, when we were when we're literally
your bull div, your H6 bull div, Louis.
Yeah, my
Solid
6H
one.
bull div. You like that?
Look at that playing out, man. Study.
So yeah, I think I was like talking about this around 60.2. We had the bull div. Not only did we have the bull div, but we had our volume on the down. So we have our down candle, which is this red volume bar here. Let's try to make it a little bigger for you. We had our down candle, this red volume bar here. And on the follow-up candle, we had engulfing volume, right? The next following candle didn't engulf on price, but it engulfed on volume. So it was very clear that this was probably more a manipulation move. Maybe market makers, running lows, getting some liquidity. And then literally the following candle engulfed on volume. We had our RSI divergence, and now we're seeing some follow through after reclaiming, that price deviation. And this looks really good. I mean, it looks like the local low is in, and probably even a high time frame low for Bitcoin as well. If you look on our daily chart here, I have my daily bull flag view. We've been tracking for months. I've been tracking with our guys for months. I mean, look at this. Let me just get rid of the volume. Look at the reaction we got on our key level here. So our 60.5K, I've been saying it for months, is a key level. Obviously, multiple touches here from the underside and underside of this level, right? Bears try to push us below it. And I even told the Discord guys, look, I was like, either we could bounce off this 60.5K level, make a little local double bottom, and then continue, or I don't mind seeing us come down here, come below the 60.5K, but we have to get back above it, reclaim it quickly, and that can create, a bullish reversal on a deviation and reclaim like we were talking about. Yesterday's daily candle got a nice doji, daily candle close. Buyers push the candle body all the way back up, basically above our key level. So we basically held this on the daily as key support. And now we're seeing follow through today on the daily candle. So this, if we close today with the candle body regression on the daily looking like this, that's a bottoming candlestick pattern, hands down. There's no denying it. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing, and we're seeing it at a level where we're supposed to see it. So, I'm feeling good, and I think it really is time here for us to continue higher.
So I need to take the chart back for 1 second, Louis, because there's something that needs to be addressed immediately. Okay. So for one, the Pepe chart looks good, but that's not what I want to talk about. Not yet. Okay. The chart that needs to be talked about is MSTR.
Wow.
Okay. MicroStrategy has just made a new 2024 yearly high. Obviously, MSTR is MicroStrategy, which is basically levered Bitcoin, right? Everybody should know what MSTR is at this point. So we were kind of lagging MSTR. And honestly, MSTR has been trading a little bit better than Bitcoin structurally. But to see a ticker like MSTR, which basically implemented a Bitcoin treasury strategy a few years back, more than that, like probably 4 years back now, and they just keep borrowing at really low rates and just aping it into Bitcoin. So you're trading basically a levered Bitcoin ETF that has a cash flow attached to it, breaking out into new highs. I mean, talk about a meat stick, right? Like talk about a meat stick. Louis, are you familiar with the Louis meat stick? Because this is the embodiment of a Louis meat stick right here.
It's one if I've ever seen one.
I mean, it's textbook Louis meat stick. So like the big question is Bitcoin kind of lagging MicroStrategy, right? We could probably pull up Bitcoin down below and try to figure it out. But I mean, I think you have to be in the camp at this point that Bitcoin is just lagging MicroStrategy by a little bit, and we're going to see it catch up. I mean, it's the same chart. It's literally the same chart. Like we can mark out, high time frame pivots. Here's Bitcoin down below. Here's your bottom, top, You know, like we'll just mark out all your high time frame pivots. It's the same chart, right? Every high time frame pivot is the same. Now the percentages are, slightly different. And the timing is sometimes a little bit different, but it's the same damn chart. Right? It's the same chart. And MicroStrategy is now in price discovery, new yearly highs, and Bitcoin hasn't quite gotten there. And I think if you're bullish, you have to be in the camp and go, the commodity in which MicroStrategy has implemented as their treasury reserve asset is now in price discovery, can only mean one thing. That equity bros are way out in front of spot Bitcoin prices because they know what's coming. They see what's happening. I'm of that opinion. I'm of that opinion that you are about to see Bitcoin play catch up at some point to MicroStrategy. Because I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense that MSTR is in price discovery, trades like Bitcoin, and spot Bitcoin is not in price discovery.
I mean, I agree. We were kind of talking about this on Wednesday. I think the bullish way to look at MicroStrategy is it's probably leading Bitcoin and Solana as well, because I liken the structure on MicroStrategy more to Solana than I do to Bitcoin, which kind of it's funny that that's the case, because we've talked before about how Solana has become more or less the premier beta that people want to speculate on when Bitcoin is running. So it makes sense that MicroStrategy looks the way that it does. And I would be looking for Sol to kind of mimic that move here over the next few weeks. If, for us to continue to be bullish, that makes sense. I don't know if MicroStrategy Bitcoin.
Oh, Tommy.
Am I rugging again?
Yeah. That's over.
It's over.
It is maybe
good,
over.
Bro.
A good old fashioned rugging.
My internet hasn't given me problems in months, so of course it's doing it today. But the relationship with Bitcoin MicroStrategy, like I God, I'm rugging again.
It's not looking good, bro.
It's not looking good. It just cuts me off before I can finish speaking. It's the type of thing that Bitcoin handle.
Oh man.
It's always on the keyword.
Like right when he's about to get his point across.
Oh God. That's what happens when you're bearish on ETH.
But I see what Tommy's talking about here.
What was he talking about?
If we view Solana as, beta to Bitcoin, and it's been the kind of premier L1 beta of this cycle for large caps, right? You can see that this is a much more similar structure right here. Right, which of course would be good for Bitcoin too. But I mean, I definitely see what Tommy's taught. I mean, this is undeniable.
That looks great.
It's undeniable, right? I mean, it's genuinely undeniable. Like, look at this across the board, man. Like it looks really, really similar.
Yeah.
So I mean, you kind of have to hope with Sol that, Sol is basically like right in here, right? Like we're doing some sort of pullback like this. And MicroStrategy being beta to Bitcoin, I would say, is a risk on signal. It's indicative of risk on. Solana, of course, has been our sort of risk on barometer all cycle so far. I would agree with Tommy that there's something here pretty clearly. Looks very, very similar.
We're seeing the Solana action in the trenches. You know what I mean? Like liquidity is definitely flowing to Solana for sure over the last couple weeks. You're seeing these coins popping off left and right on Solana, and I'm pretty sure that's how last leg started. So I wouldn't be surprised if Solana price action itself follows suit here relatively soon. And I would agree we're probably at like that green box for MicroStrategy. That makes a lot of sense from what we've been seeing on chain. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if Tommy's going to be able to rejoin us today, man. That's a pretty severe rugging
Yeah,
this
it's hard
early in
to
the stream.
recover from that.
It's hard to recover from that. Yeah, it's hard to recover from that. But yeah, anyways, really, really cool to see MicroStrategy pushing new highs here. So that's great. I want to talk about I mean, oh man, look at IWM, right?
Yeah,
Just meat stick.
that's like a local little consolidation flag there that's breaking to the upside. I was looking at that this morning. That looks great. Yeah, I mean, it looks ready to go.
And guys, why we care so much about IWM is that Bitcoin hasn't gone into price discovery without IWM also going into price discovery. I don't even think I need to remake this, but I can just real quick. I'll just show you like the last example. Just do this super quickly. Bitcoin goes into price discovery when IWM goes into price discovery. So here's Bitcoin down below, IWM up top, which is small cap companies in the US. IWM goes into price discovery right here. Crypto follows very, very shortly after. I would view the all-time high as this. I would cheat a little bit and just ignore this deviation. So when you see IWM meat sticking, it's hard not to imagine, Bitcoin's going to be right there at about the same time, So, when I look at this structure here on the daily, I think this is vertical accumulation to me. Small cap companies in the US, when they get above this black line right here, I mean, it's 100 points away. You should see crypto start to fly, right? Because you move down the risk curve, right? NASDAQ and SPX go into price discovery first. You could include the Dow Jones in that. And then you start to see small caps catch a bid. And then even further down the risk curve for, legacy bros is crypto. Then they start chasing crypto. So that's typically why that happens. But moving back over to crypto, looking at Pepe here, right? I mean, this is just gorgeous, man. I mean, it's been choppy, right? Look at high time frame demand. Nice little range. Break out of the range, and then you move up. Demand, you move up, retest demand, create more demand, move up, reject it, 12-hour supply, which is right here. You can see this 12-hour order block, reject there, come back down, retest demand, and now we're starting to move up again. It looks solid, guys. It looks solid. I'm liking the structure that I'm seeing. And then, of course, I have Pepe above here, and you've retired your entire bloodline by holding Andy and Wolf. That's the truth. That is the truth. But it looks really good. I don't know what you think about Pepe here, but it looks solid to me.
I think it looks great. I want to know what Tommy thinks about it because I know he usually has different takes. So I'd love to hear what Tommy thinks of Pepe here. If he could talk.
I don't even know if he can hear us. He looks frozen again, man. He's like staring off so intense.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Yeah, I could talk about Pepe.
We can keep moving too. I mean, we could look at total and stuff. Here's what we were looking at for total. We drew this out, I think, last market check. Was again the same idea with, this was an FEG. I'll just make this blue. So we were talking about this last market check where we had that same, structural change that Bitcoin had for total. Low, higher low set, September 6th. Market structure break to the upside, pull back into demand. And we had this drawn out beautifully, 12-hour block, reject, sweep this low, hold demand, and then hopefully start moving up. So, I mean, next week will be very, very telling, but I mean, we got this perfectly, right? Right back into demand, took out these lows, and now we're just running, So it looks good. In my view, with everything, specifically like total, you get back above this high right here, because this was the bear's chance right here. This was the bear chance to reject from here. They got it down. But now we're moving back up. You get back above this high, which was the point of origin of this breakdown. A lot of these shorts right in here are going to be panic closing, and you're going to see ascended new highs, in my opinion. So everything just looks great. What a Friday. What a Friday. Perfect. Tommy's frozen again. Louis, it's just me and you, man. We're just going to talk today. All right.
Say anything.
Oh, it's really bad. It's really bad.
I'm
Louis,
gonna go reset my Wi-Fi. Hold on.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's reset the Wi-Fi. All right. Louis, you're up, man. What are you seeing here? Total 3?
Yeah, this is total. I'll basically say that you were just looking at just total 3 crypto market cap, excluding Bitcoin and ETH. So basically just altcoin market cap. And I'm looking at it the same way you are, right? We had our local consolidation after, a nice run up end of last year, beginning of this year. We've literally been consolidating since March of this year. We've definitely seen that action, roll over into altcoin price action. It's been altcoins have been bleeding, except a select few. But it looks as if we are, we got our breakout, we got a throwback to demand. We're retesting, horizontal and descending, support here. And this looks ready to go. They had another chance to push us down. Let's lower down the time frame here. They had another chance to push us below our low here, back into our structure. They couldn't. And like if you actually look at this, a lot of altcoins look like this in the lower time frame as well, where you had a low, a bounce, and I'm sure everyone was expecting that sweep. And we literally just kind of either made a slightly lower high, a higher low, or we double bottomed. And people aren't used to these holding up, right? But I think it's going to be pretty funny if that's, how
there's a clear dynamics shift here,
Yeah,
where the lows are now beginning to hold and you're not getting these continued sell-offs. And that's new from the past 6 months.
Yeah, it's definitely new because normally in our environment we've been, it's like you're gonna get the sweep at a low, maybe even sweep this low. You know what I mean? Try to reclaim, work on it, bang more. But eventually, that flips. You eventually get that change of trend. Obviously, our hint as to if we were doing that, is this market structure break? You know what I mean? We made lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. Bang! We got a change of character. We made a higher high here, and a higher low here, right? So when it's coming down here, this makes more sense for it to hold and push and to flip this trend, similar to like that S&P fractal you had, right? It came all the way down, broke out, came back, retested. And we're even on the lower time frame, we're not getting that sweep of the lows anymore. Like we're getting double bottoms, and we're getting higher lows, and we're getting continuation, which is great. We want to see it obviously follow through, but it seems as if more simple. I mean, I love trending markets, right? Like we've been in a ranging market. I'm what I'm good in ranges is I'm good at maybe accumulating lows, finding bottoms. Like I always know a good bottom when I see one. But
you did that on purpose. You did that on
dad
purpose.
jokes.
That was a dad joke.
But it's not a great trading environment for me. My specialty, I feel like when it comes to a trading aspect is trending markets. When markets trend to the upside, it is a little bit easier. And that kind of simple TA actually starts to work again versus everything being a sweep or a deviation, which is a little more difficult to play in my opinion. You get stuff like double bottoms continuation, right? You get stuff like this, and then people are conditioned to expect that sweep, and stuff like that, and then they don't get it, and then they're forced to chase higher, which ultimately pushes price higher. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing this morning. I think a lot of people saw the bounce last night on Bitcoin and alts and expected to wake up and have a good chance at buying the lows again this morning, and they didn't. right? They woke up to higher prices and they're like, okay, crap, like I got to buy here. And we're seeing that in price action across the board, in my opinion.
Look at your watch list, man. Just
I know.
green across the board from all the boys. And guys, let's get some likes up on the stream. Happy Friday. It's a great day to be on Market Check. It's a great day to be invested in the digital asset class known as crypto, guys. Do us a solid. Help the channel out. I promise I wouldn't ask if it didn't make a big difference. And again, thanks for being here in the first place. But if you can, just take 1 second, hit that like button. It really helps us out, guys. Really, really helps us out.
What are your thoughts on this?
No thoughts. No thoughts at this point, man. It just I don't even know what to look at here. I could see it squeeze, like I could see it squeeze. I just at this point I'm less concerned with ETH outperforming Bitcoin, and I'm more concerned with just US dollar prices going up. Like, because I don't own much spot ETH. Like I own some, but I'm just more concerned with, like, if Bitcoin wants to outperform ETH, then Bitcoin should outperform ETH. Send ETH BTC to 0 for all I care. As long as ETH USD is going up, then my ETH beta, like Andy, will do tremendously well. That's all that I care about. Like I guess to me it's missing. It's missing the point for me to be overly concerned with this valuation. Like, I recognize the significance of what it could mean for this valuation and this pair to move up, being ETH BTC.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter for me. As long as US dollar prices go up for ETH, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, do you remember like when I first joined, we were doing market checks and you guys were asking about ETH BTC, and I was basically like, I don't think it's that important of a metric at this point, just because ETH and BTC are trading more in parity.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that because Bitcoin's going to drag these things up. Bitcoin's obviously dragging alts up with it, and eventually, we're going to beat Bitcoin dominance top, and this will rotate. We're seeing maybe some signs here under the hood. I like the way the daily RSI looks. We're making higher highs. We're making steeper higher lows. I mean, and price is trying to flatten out here. So we'll see. But I mean, on a day like this, when this is still not reversed, we have ETH up 2.5% on the day, holding key levels. And just the price action alone, is looking great. We're holding this demand, this key support. Bears just couldn't push us below it last night. And now we're seeing bull step in and bid. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna eventually it'll reverse. I don't think we're gonna get a giant ETH BTC rally, but I don't think we need to for ETH to crack back into the $5,000 range, $6,000, $7,000. Like, I don't think we need it.
And that's all we need. And then hopefully, like, later in the cycle, you could see a lot of ETH BTC outperformance for a few months at least. But I'm just not concerned with the valuation. Tommy, welcome back. Let's do a little Wi-Fi check. How about it?
I think it's good. I think we fixed it. I've never had problems since we like officially got the Wi-Fi installed. This is the first time, so we're feeling it out. But it looks like we're good. It looks like we're good.
Seems good.
I would say on the ETH topic, kind of the structure I've been likening this ETH downtrend to, if it's going to break higher, is Bitcoin in September of 2021. So part of me kind of thinks if we are going to just continue this low time frame grind higher that we've had, and ETH is to do something like pop back into 2,700 before running any more lows, I wouldn't rule out the capability of it outperforming Solana here over the next few months. And I did see somebody ask about that in the comments. I think when you look at Sol ETH specifically, you never want to call it. I don't really want to call a top on it necessarily, because I kind of view Sol ETH now as it's the on-chain dominance indicator. In the same way that we have Bitcoin dominance, now Sol ETH is the on-chain dominance indicator, because I really don't think that at the moment, no other chain really matters to the same degree as either of these two. But when we look at this chart that Louis has up right now, I mean, that looks a lot like the setup on a lot of altcoins that we just played to the upside over the last few weeks, does it not? Especially, if you take out that huge dump down that the pair had, if you're looking at it, I think really over the last few weeks, like I think the setup on Sol ETH, if you invert it, looks exactly like what we just traded Wolf out of a few weeks ago. So I think there's a case to be made that Sol ETH could be, and not like an elevator down type of top, but maybe a slow grind back down, maybe some normalization in the on-chain dominance indicator. But I'm more intrigued at Sol ETH than I have been in a long. I think that could lead to some opportunities on chain on ETH, but I don't want to speak before we see ETH above like something like 26, 2700.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I just don't have a strong opinion on Sol ETH here. I'd rather just wait for a break of structure at this point. Like you get above those little highs. And then we can confirm like, hey, that was an accumulation. This chart would be an accumulation into a breakout, which would imply ETH outperforming Sol. I don't know. Like, I guess I could see it both ways, and I just don't really care. The only thing I care about at this phase is Bitcoin price discovery, Bitcoin rising tide that lifts all ships. That's all that I care about. Whatever L1 outperforms another L1 at this point, it doesn't matter to me. It just doesn't matter. And here's the thing. I actually think it would be healthy for Bitcoin to lead both ETH and Sol for a little bit if it's going to break out. And then we see the shitcoin rotation.
There is part of me that wonders if the current metas on Solana will force people back into meme coins that are more like traditional and less cringe. That is something I was thinking about yesterday. I mean, I'm happy for everybody that's making money on the brain rot narratives, but I can't say that I think that those meme coins are about to enter some sort of like super cycle. I would say more likely what's going to happen is they do really well here in the immediate term. And if majors like ETH and Sol are both ready to make their next leg of a high time frame uptrend, then I think you see memes on ETH, not just because they're less cringe, but also just because there is still more just kind of capital that's not allocated on ETH. And as I always say, meme coin capital is entirely mercenary. People want to fight me on this, and then we look at what happened with Base Chain back in like April or May when people left Solana en masse to go to Base for like a week. So it's always going to be about where opportunity is present. And if opportunity is on ETH, people will leave Solana for ETH. And right now, Solana memes have a very definitive ceiling at around like 400 or 500 million. So if you weren't in early, the likelihood for pumps to break that mark is really, I think, there's more potential for that to occur on ETH over the next few weeks and the next few months, because I don't think that WIF is going to do any more than get back to its all-time highs. I know Popcat is currently, it's technically around price discovery right now, but if you look at how much effort has gone into pumping that coin, I don't know if that's necessarily sustainable. So, I think that the 0 to 500 market cap memes are more likely going to continue to reside on Solana. And then once you start to graduate into the next tier above that, you're more likely to see those pumps on ETH.
So let me ask you this, Tommy. So far, we haven't, what you said is absolutely correct. That kind of like 300 to 600 mil has been a pretty sticky level for a lot of these memes, especially on Sol and ETH, I would argue. I mean, for example, like Andy topped out at 300 mil its first run. I think it's going to go a lot higher than that. Do you think it's possible if we see a $400 Solana and a $5,500 ETH, those ceilings will effectively be shattered? Or are you thinking that we're just going to continue to see this hot ball of money where something will pump from 0 to 400 mil, reject, and then something new comes in and takes its place without people actually staying committed to these memes long enough to actually send them to these higher valuations?
I kind of think you have to approach it on a case-by-case basis, right? I mean, we talked on Wednesday about how certain large cap meme coins it will be harder for them to hit parabola the bigger they get, especially if you're expecting a cycle top in the next like 4 to 5 months. So something like Popcat on Sol, I'm not really expecting that to just be like this ripper into 20 or $25. I'm not really expecting WIF to do that either, but maybe they can continue to grind higher as people kind of like passively rotate capital out of, like you said, those ceilings and into larger cap meme coins. I'm going to remain skeptical about meme coins breaking these ceilings until we see kind of the entire altcoin market do it, right? Like, I kind of outlined how majors have their ceilings at the beginning of the show. But if you look at altcoins, there have only been 2 altcoins above 500 million market cap that have made all-time highs in the last 3 to 4 months. And I can't remember a time that I've ever been in crypto where that was the case. So I want to see, it's not as much ceilings broken, but you want to see like shifts in that trend. I think a lot of that is ultimately going to be liquidity coming into crypto. And we know that there is 5 trillion coming into financial markets here over the next few months, but how is it going to get into crypto? I think is my question. Is it going to just go to something like Bitcoin and maybe ETH? Because obviously that liquidity it has an easier way of finding its way into the market in TradFi, and their easiest way to speculate on crypto is through things like CME futures. But how does it find its way kind of more into the trenches, into altcoins? Because I know we kind of thought that we could see some of that ETF speculation bleed over into the altcoin market, but it really didn't do it in the form of a super strong spot bid. It more so did it through the form of like altcoin leverage. You could see that altcoins hit open interest all-time highs, despite the fact that ETH wasn't making all-time highs, that Bitcoin had just barely broken all-time highs. But the altcoin open interest market had reached like 20 or 25 billion before it finally corrected at some point in Q1 of this year. So I want to see that liquidity really start to pour into crypto before I revise these altcoin targets higher. But in the meantime, I think that just continues to put a very favorable spin on beta, right? Like beta is still where you're going to have the highest ROI, not just because it's beta, but because some of these larger cap tokens are still difficult for the market to pump.
I generally agree with you. Here's the way I kind of view, like, where's the liquidity going to come from? Like, how do a lot of these meme coins enter parabola, like late stage parabola? Where do they get that fuel? And the way that I view it, and someone might disagree with me, is that it doesn't really need to be, we don't really need to be concerned about like people literally taking dollars and converting it into meme coins. All we need to do is pump their L1s, right? So it's like, as a proxy, if you just pump Solana, then as a result, people have appreciated bags that just flow into beta. Same with ETH. If ETH goes up, ETH beta goes up. So it's like, I think it's really as simple as like, can Bitcoin go into price discovery? And then will the major L1s, will BNB, Sol, ETH go into price discovery? And that solves the issue right there. And I am of the opinion that a lot of the newer memes may kind of die, and only the strongest will really go on to create something, like create real wealth. Maybe last, a lot of these memes won't last more than one cycle, and that's the truth. A lot of these new memes, they will last one cycle, they will pump to 1 billion, then they will die and never come back. And next cycle, there will be something new. But I think there's going to be a handful that go on to be like, oh, well, remember what Shib did last cycle? And we'll refer to a whole new batch of memes. Remember what, Pepe did last cycle? Remember what Andy did last cycle? You know what I mean? Of course, I'm cherry picking my own bags, but I would say for good reason. I can back it up with charts. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But I will tell you this, when I see the top 100 by market cap, over 50% memes, that's going to be a pretty substantial top signal for me. And I think that will happen, to be clear.
I think you hit the nail on the head with the with majors appreciating. Like, you don't need new liquidity to come in to pump on-chain assets because it's a wealth effect. We always see the biggest speculative fervors on chain after ETH is pumped for a reason, because ETH and now Solana as well. When those assets pump, people are much wealthier on chain. I think it's just a matter of like how differently have ETH and Solana people spent their native L1s over the last 6 to 8 months. That will probably more likely determine outperformance among those two assets. But I mean, I want to be honest. Like, let me be clear. Like, there's not going to be any shortage of opportunity on either chain if both are going to break higher here, in my opinion. Like, you're basically just kind of picking the environment that you're more comfortable dealing with. But I will say I do want to see this ceiling that we've seen on meme coins get shattered in the same way that, you know, something like WIF, when it pumped in December of last year into January, it kind of consolidated in that 100 to 200 million dollar range before it busted out into 2, 3, 4, $5 billion. But as far as like WIF goes, I am skeptical that it's going to go like too much higher than its current all-time high. I think something like Pepe has a much better chance of returning high ROI than WIF at this point.
Is that because there's more meme dilution on Sol, or like what's your reasoning for that? Okay.
Yes, I think there is more meme dilution on Sol. I think memes have probably been a little bit more destructive on collateral than what we see on ETH. Like ETH, the way it's kind of the collateral goes on ETH, this is just kind of like rehypothecated and lended over and over and over again. So it hasn't really been like destroyed, I guess yet. But on Solana, more you kind of have like those more liquid and explicit ways of spending your Solana on things like meme coins. So it's been very much like a top 1% of performers on Solana probably have a lot of Sol, and then everyone else does not. And I think ETH, it might be a little bit more spread out because so many people have kind of been like farming these yield Ponzi's for over a year and a half in anticipation of ETH actually appreciating, and it hasn't.
Mm-hmm. Louis, what do you got for us, man? What are you looking at?
Just looking at good old Andy, since we're talking about meme coins on ETH.
Old Andy meat stick.
Yeah, just putting in a 18% meat stick on the day so far. I mean, listen, you know, we're at demand, right? We had a nice run off the lows. People freak out on pullbacks. You're going to have to get used to, you know, dealing with pullbacks, because when things get crazy and altcoins are popping off, the pumps are going to be crazy, but so are the pullbacks. You know what I mean? You're going to have those 30 to 40% pullbacks, and you're either going to have to be able to, you know, sack up and bid those, or sack up and hold through those, right? Because that's where you're going to get in an altcoin run. And yeah, I mean, you know, had to run off the lows, pulled back, major demand here. You know, we have our, you know, this local high here. You know, we have market structure here. Bears tried twice to push us back below, you know, these highs. They wanted us to get us back below. They tried once, rolled over. They tried again yesterday. And again, another one where, you know, they tried to sweep this low and they just couldn't get priced below it. And we kind of got more or less just like a little double bottom on the lower time frame type look. I mean, a slight deviation, but we didn't run the wick, right? And yeah, we're just pushing off demand. And it looks really good. And it's obviously leading today, you know, as far as ETH memes go. I mean, as far as my watch list, you know, compared to Pepe, Brett, and others, you know, Andy is definitely leading today. I don't know what Wolf looks like.
It's chatting, man.
Chatting.
Yeah, chatting. Yeah. Chatting.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, probably the same thing. I haven't even looked at this chart in a while, but you know.
Yeah, chatting.
Same. They look exactly the same.
And let me touch on something quickly with Andy, right? Just because I want people to really understand this, then I'm gonna throw back to you, Louis. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So here's Andy. Louis just talked about this low right here. All right. So this low with the blue dot and the line right there and the horizontal line. Okay. So everybody needs to understand this, right? Because what Andy is one of the premier, if not the premier, you know, ETH betas of this cycle, and it has proven itself. I want to show you why it's moving the way it is and why this low didn't get hit. There were some people asking me, someone with a big following tweeted out that they wanted to buy Andy down in here. right? And I get why. Like, you're looking at the chart and you're like, yeah, we could run that low, like, nice accumulation. I get it, whatever. And this is ETH down below right here. I want to point out something to you structurally, right? Let's mark out when the trend started. Okay. ETH bottoms right here. We'll put this in purple. Andy bottoms right here. ETH starts moving up like this. Put this in green. And Andy starts moving up. And then they top, right? We'll put this in red. ETH tops, right? And then ETH starts moving down. Andy starts moving down. And look at this low right here. Okay. Look at the low right here on Andy. Okay. It's really this simple. Let's mark out this low on ETH, the same one we have marked out with Andy. There's your low. So ETH decides to conveniently front run this low, and so does Andy. What you're trading here is truly a unicorn in the sense that you are trading a basically 10 times leveraged ETH ETF without the risk of liquidation. Look at how these charts are moving together. It's pretty unbelievable, honestly. It's a unicorn, right? Because it trades so cleanly. There's no randomness to it anymore. It's so well established, and it moves so reflexively and automatically with what ETH is doing, right? Like, look at this, is undeniable. You look at all the pivot points, and even the fact that Andy, being right now 147 million market cap, just didn't sweep that low when ETH front ran that low. That's unreal. I mean, that's incredible. So when I look at this chart, right, like, what's Andy going to do? Well, let's take a look at ETH here. Andy up top, ETH down below. The big question you have to ask yourself is, if ETH goes up here, what do you think Andy's going to do given the relationship that I have just shown you? And again, we can go all the way back, over here, look at the dumps, look at the bottoms. It's the same. I could do this all the way throughout the history of it. If ETH goes up here, do you think Andy comes down here and you get that fill? If that low on ETH remains unswept, then Andy's just going to go up like this. It's just going to do what ETH is doing, but a lot more. So let's take a few percentage measurements here. ETH from the purple dot went up 20%. Andy from the purple dot to the top went up 235%. How about the little one from today? ETH is up like 4 from that low, give or take. And Andy's up 34. And they're moving perfectly in tandem with each other, and they have been the entire time. So I just look at this and I go, all right, do you think there's a chance that ETH can get back up into here, can make a new high for 2024? Can ETH get back above 4,000? Because if ETH gets back above 4,000, you're going to see Andy up in here based on the current correlation. It's really this simple. It's data. There's nothing subjective about it. It's not me telling you, hey, it's a funny meme. I like it. It's cool. I'm showing you that this thing has matured to a point of no return. Deep liquidity, solid holder base, committed whales, tight reflexive correlation to its L1 being ETH. And I watch a lot of tickers out there, stuff I don't talk about. It's nearly impossible to find something that moves as tightly correlated to ETH or its L1 as Andy. Very difficult. So it's like, the question is, do you think ETH will go on to make a new high? And if so, Andy's the clear choice. And I've shown you the data. I have data for days, right? All I have is data. All I have is data. And I'll even show you some pairs, right? Like, let's talk about some pairs here. right? Here's Andy versus ETH. Andy paired against ETH. One of the best looking charts in crypto. This is not Andy USD. This is Andy against ETH. I mean, look at this. Like, holding demand right here. Mega demand. Reaccumulation. You know, holds the lows, creates a nice little bottom range, breaks out of it, gets above this high time frame pivot right here, which is, you know, basically goes back to this high. And now we're basically using it as a launch pad. This is Andy against ETH. So when this chart goes down, better to have your money in ETH. When this chart goes up, better to have your money in Andy. We're just looking at data. There's nothing subjective about this at all. But from this region in which we had a major rejection from back in July, we are now holding it as serious support. So again, this is just another way to look at what I was just telling you. It is leveraged ETH. It is leveraged ETH L1 without any risk of liquidation. There might not be a better play on the entire market, in my opinion. I've looked at it against everything. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to hijack it, Louis. I'm going to kick it back to you.
No, it's what the people want.
It was a hijack. I mean, I straight up, I hit you over the head with a bottle and I hijacked it. I took your car. It's a hijacking.
What do we want to look at?
Louis, what don't we want to look at? It'd be a shorter list.
Everything's pumping. What are your thoughts on Doge, Tommy?
Doge is interesting, man. It's let me look at that chart again. It's been a few weeks, but I've been keeping an eye on it.
I like Doge here quite a bit, actually. Like, can you put that in log for me, Louis? I know it'll mess your trend line up probably, but so if you go back to last cycle in 2021, I think what we just did was like September, October of 2020. September, October 2020. I think we just pulled back into September, October of 2020. To the right a little bit. Right. And then we just sold off. Nope, to the right. September and October of 2020. Look at the bottom. It shows the dates, bro. Right there. God.
I'm cooked, right? I was up really late.
Oh,
man. I was up late last night bidding, just holding up the altcoin
I was up late bidding. Always a good excuse. I think we're potentially somewhere in there.
Yeah. I'm going to move that here. Yeah.
Can you go to a different Doge chart? Can you type in Doge USD, Louis? Because I want to show you something on this. Maybe you've already seen it. Doge USD. Type in USD and then do the crypto chart. Crypto. So the third one down. Right there. Yeah, let's look at that one. Okay. So go back to last cycle. So look at the high in June of 2019 for Doge and draw a horizontal line over right there. Yeah, that high. Draw a horizontal line over there. We swept the bear market range high in September, like right. Yeah, right. You could do right there. And then identify for us the sweep just to the right of it. That big sweep, that big pop up to the right. Right there. Okay, now go forward. Try to keep that on your chart and do that with where we're currently at right now. So see what I'm talking about? Up a little higher to the left. Yeah, right there. Draw a horizontal line. See what we're doing right here? Do you see that? We sweep the bear market range high, reject, and then look at the demand zone in which we retested both last cycle and this cycle. Yeah, right. Exactly. Now draw it on the last cycle too. See what I'm talking about? Yes, sir. You see what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah. No, I see it. That's why I've been bidding. Yeah. I've been buying Doge all in here, at 9-10 cents. I think it's been quiet too. Like, everyone's distracted with other memes, Everyone's forgetting the OG Doge, which is it going to give you that 30 to 40x multiple that the other ones can? No, absolutely not. But is it something that you could, accumulate, a decent sized bag and not worrying about it being back at zero when you wake up, tomorrow morning? And it is something that I think at least can do it, 3 to 4 to 5x, in this cycle.
It's basically Bitcoin, but it's like a marketable, fun Bitcoin. It's a fork of Litecoin, which is a fork of Bitcoin. It's proof of work. It's got more price history than ETH.
Yeah.
You've got, ordinals on it now, or doginals.
You always got the bullet.
I've said this a while ago, and I was early. I thought we would have gone up like earlier, but I think that Doge here, honestly, is probably one of the safer 5x's in crypto.
I agree.
It's not going to give you like, Andy returns, but not everybody can handle the volatility, right?
Yeah. And this is something you could play it, right? Accumulate it. You get those 3, 4, 5x's on a sizable play. You don't have to just throw a couple $100 at it because you're afraid you're going to lose your money. And then as the cycle goes on, you take those profits and then you dabble and you play whatever meme coins you want to, on chain. But, this could be a great, bedrock for your portfolio, as a meme play. And then you use your, the house money to start playing, in the trenches. And that's how I look at it. I like to keep my portfolio, exposed to risk, but at the same time, worst comes to worst, at least you have a decent bedrock. You're not going to lose everything on your portfolio. I mean, I think there's everyone just wants to go all in on every play needs to be 100x. I think that's a recipe for disaster for, the long term, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's how you end up, and this is what I was trying to get to. Going for 100x on every play is how you end up holding some doginals with 0 daily volume for like months, consecutive months. Maybe someday I'll get to sell those.
Yeah, I own a lot of those too. I haven't checked in on them in a long time at all. Like, I just told myself I would check back when Doge is over 25 cents and see how they're doing and just pray.
Yeah. I mean, this looks like it's going to pop soon, like above, I think, 11.5. Like you get back above this high here, back above here. This is going to at least double. And then who knows what happens? Because, you know what I mean? Like it could just pop like this and do 150% move. Like all Elon does, all Elon needs to do is just tweet about it once, or you get a Twitter announcement or whatever. It could be anything, or it doesn't need anything at all. But, those are always lurking, that possibility with Doge. Especially when things go quiet, like no one's talking about Doge. That's when you start taking a look at it, right? Everyone starts talking about Doge when we're back up here, probably breaking this local high at 20 cents, going for higher. Maybe you start taking profits. So, I like being in before the crowd. But I mean, do we think it's going to hit its old all-time high?
Yes.
I do. I feel like Doge to $1 is happening, bro.
Wow.
100%. I would bet a significant amount of money that Doge will make an all-time high again someday.
Because I was eyeing this level here, this complacent shoulder, like 35 cents. And, normally you get that, third cycle or second cycle altcoin where you kind of just come up and then you kind of just die off and then you do it over again. But I mean, if Doge, if retail comes back and like all, they all just start bidding Doge, that's what they know, like the normies, when they start coming back, if things start popping off. Maybe, everyone can start going Doge to $1 again. And maybe we actually do get it this cycle when everyone was calling it last cycle. What did we hit? 75 cents last cycle? Something like that. Yeah. 74 cents. Yeah.
I think Doge will go to $1.
So
I really do.
You're looking at, that's a 6x. Like, what are we talking about? Like, it's easy money.
I definitely think the Doge is one of those coins that looks like NASDAQ in probably like 2007, 2008, where it's coming out of an echo bubble.
Oh, you got to show it to me.
Well, I can show it. I've talked about it.
I never see your screen. I got to see something.
I've been showing it on all the calls.
You have been. I've been enjoying that.
I'll share my screen to talk about what I'm discussing. Let me make sure I have a really bullish fractal I just put on Doge. I don't want people to get the wrong idea. I had to take that off.
Please give me the wrong idea, Tommy. I would love to see the wrong idea right now.
Hold on. Yeah. NDX. Perfect.
Guys, how do we not have 300 likes on the stream? Come on now. If you're watching on Twitter, if you're watching on YouTube, take 1 second, hit that like button. Come on now. Come on now. We're here for free. We're here for free. We just need likes. That's it.
Bump it.
I mean, how many altcoin charts more or less look like this?
Every
like
single
older
one
altcoin charts.
Every one of them.
Yeah,
exactly. That's kind of my thought process for something like Doge. It's somewhere in here, coming out of an echo bubble. I don't know if it'll quite return what the Nasdaq did, but you can look at kind of the leading components of the Nasdaq, kind of how they played out their second bubble. But I think a lot of the previous cycle coins like Doge, I'm not saying Cardano is going to obviously do this. Cardano looks very similar to this too. I don't have faith in Cardano like I do with Doge, but yeah, I mean, they're just very similar looking charts. To me, this is what paints the most optimistic picture of a crypto super cycle, is visualizing things like this. I mean, I think what people are maybe going wrong with Doge is they expect it to be like that and then that, when it could be more like that, right? Something that is passively allocated to over a longer period of time. And that's kind of been the theme of the cycle, hasn't it? Where you have everybody chasing these really quick returns at every juncture on perps, on meme coins, to almost to like, one, to make it, but also two, to like try and position themselves for the super cycle that they know is coming. And the market has not been nearly as forgiving as it was, during this period. I remember that period. You could literally throw money at anything, and you thought you were a genius.
I have a question for you about this, Tommy. So I actually agree with you for one. I do agree with you. And by the way, I think that one of the best arguments for Doge going crazy is that everybody knows about it. And guess what? It's available on every exchange. And when retail comes back, it's the first thing they're going to ape. They're not going to buy Bitcoin. They're not going to buy ETH. They're just going to be like, let's buy Doge. They're going to run it back. Most predictable thing ever. And that's bullish. My question for you is, do you think that Pepe will flip Doge? Not outperform. I think that's an obvious yes. Do you think that Pepe will flip Doge?
So what market cap would that be about for Doge?
That would be like that would probably be like 100 to 150 billion.
I would be really surprised if Pepe flipped Doge, but I also think if you have some sort of like crypto cycle that's running until 2029 or 2030, at that, I mean, you're probably like,
hang on, you're talking about the death of the 4-year cycle, though, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Yes.
Oh,
I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to play out exactly like the fractal I just put on the chart, but
wait, why'd you take it down so quickly? What was that? Command Z that. Don't be shy now. Put that back up. Okay, now let's talk.
But I think if you're talking about like a crypto cycle that goes to 2029 or 2030, right? We don't know what that looks like. I think the next 6 to 8 months are going to give a lot of clarity on the feasibility of a scenario like this. But I would, and this is the not so optimistic part of the of the scenario, I would assume that you're seeing moves like this because fiat is fundamentally failing in a way that's much larger than we've probably seen before. And I think if you are in like late stage, maybe dollar, maybe it's just fiat in general, you're going to see some insane movements on meme coins. So I don't think you can rule anything out.
So it's literally people suggesting that they have much more confidence in Doge with a 3% annualized inflation rate being a proof of work network than their fiat currency.
Yes.
That's kind of scary to think about. That's unreal because we're going to own a lot of it. We'll make money. But that's a little scary to think about what that would actually be like. I mean, people in masses being like, I have lost confidence in my fiat to the point of not just wanting to own assets, but the Forex pair of Doge USD.
Yes.
In private
It's
money
a
than public
really,
money.
we'll probably have a Doge ETF at some point. I can't wait to see who the Michael Saylor of Dogecoin will be. Maybe it's just Elon again, but maybe we do that. Maybe we just decide to have like a self-perpetuating Dogecoin ETF. But yeah, no, I do think that, like, assuming that meme coins are reaching valuations of like 150 to 200 billion, I think you kind of have to have everything else on the table at that point. Like, you're probably, fiat currency is probably, we already look at it as trash right now. But if we're seeing moves like that, where it's like you said, it is a little bit scary to think about, but you have to kind of consider like what that would entail for these valuations. How they would kind of take to happen. But I would say that's kind of bullish on something like Pepe too. You have no idea. It is, I would argue, a more recognizable meme than Dogecoin. I would not rule out a flip at that point.
I would agree with you there. I really would. I don't know. I'm still not willing to. I don't know how probable I think that an extended cycle is going to be, just because this cycle has actually, from a timing perspective, been so comparable with the previous ones. It's almost spooky. I'd be happy for you to be right. And for one, I'd make a lot more money if you're right. And because Bitcoin, in all of our interests up here on the stage, would be a lot bigger and stronger of a business if we had 3 or 4 years left of a cycle.
Uptrend.
I hope you're right. I just don't know how likely I think that is yet, because we're so damn synced up with previous cycles from a timing perspective. Like, right between the halving and the US election, which is now in like 3 weeks, right? Little more than 3 weeks. But you get the point. That's the time to shove shitcoins historically. And guess what we're starting to see? The trenches are back, baby. Louis Meatstick, talk to me.
Yeah, can you imagine just like 4 or 5 years of just steady uptrend?
Dude, you have some of the richest people in the world come out of like start from like nothing right now, and they would be like billionaires in a couple of years. I mean, literally, it would be, the Forbes list would be a joke. You know?
I mean,
It would be like anonymous Twitter guys like posting phantom portfolios with like 900 million in it.
That's like your real .com bubble comparison.
Yes.
I feel like I think it's funny. I mean, I like Kush. He has some outlandish targets, but I remember him saying end of 2023, mostly all of 2023, and he kept saying this quote. It was something like, it was like the biggest trick on the market was making people believe that the 2021 cycle top was the top. When meanwhile, it was just an intermediary top, and like the real, blow off top is like way, way higher. I don't know the exact quote, but yeah, and that would line up with something like this, where like 2021 was just the warm up, which was already crazy. We've all experienced it. At least we were here in 2021 in stocks as well. And if that's something like a warm up where people really don't want to hold the dollar anymore, I mean, what else are you going to do? Like, what else are people going to hold except assets? Digital assets are the future. Our future is becoming more and more digital every day. Generations, kids are growing up with technology in their hands. They'll be more accustomed to, investing and stuff like this, especially over the next couple of years as they get older. It's definitely a possibility, especially with the ETFs. And I don't want to say this Bitcoin cycle is going to be different, right? Because every cycle, it's like institutions are here. We're never going to get a bear market. We're not getting our, 60 to 70% bear market. But maybe with something as the ETF, if they actually gain more and more traction and more popularity, as the cycle goes on, it can be something where like there is a just perpetual bid, either in pensions or 401ks, or funds that are just continually buying this, passively. And maybe that can blunt, a full Bitcoin bear market, but we won't know until that comes. And I'm not going to be the guy that says this time is different. because everyone who said that in the past has not fared well in history. But it is something to think about, where like the institutions are actually here this time, as far as ETFs go, and they're just a wide, more passive pool of money that can continually bid Bitcoin and probably other ETFs as the market goes on. So, I mean, I can see it as a possibility. And, I'd rather make money, slower and steady than just like, whoom, like 3 months and then like we're worried about taking profits. And, I'd rather a slow, steady gain. It just you're able to handle your emotions better. You're able to handle your portfolio better. And you could sleep at night, but we'll see. We'll definitely see, but it's definitely something to entertain and keep in the back of our minds for sure.
Yeah.
I think Max Payne is that everyone in crypto is right. Fiat is literally trash and eventually going to zero, but we don't have that just enormously fast parabolic cycle and gains that have typically flowed from liquidity, and that the true adoption cycle of crypto, as I've been laying out over the last few weeks, is that non-sovereign store of value outside of fiat. That's really what ushers in a potential crypto cycle to me. But I could be wrong. I could absolutely be wrong. I just spot patterns, and I see this pattern in particular when you talk about tech and a huge speculative driven parabola followed by obviously smaller echo bubble, where you can kind of see the themes for the next 1 to 2 decades being displayed. Can definitely be on the table too. So I am tracking this, and I think we'll have a lot more clarity on it in about 6 to 8 months.
I talked about this idea of us being in the very early innings of the .com bubble, but for crypto a long time ago. And people like to equate the .com bubble to where we're at right now with equities. I heard someone do it the other day, and I said, dude, you are not even close. Like the average the cumulative PE of the NASDAQ in 1999 to 2000 was like 70 or 80. Like insane, worthless stuff trading at huge premiums, and then they all died and went to zero. And that's the chart that Tommy has right there. I mean, right there. That is a true bubble, right? So it's like in 1996, everyone's like, oh man, like I don't believe in the internet. Oh man, things are getting frothy. We're trading at big valuations. And then you see the index trading at ridiculous valuations. So if you want to look at where we're at right now and say, okay, what's the era that we're in? We already have the internet, but now we're adding a layer of money to the internet, which has never been done before, and scaling it so that everybody has access to it. And it's becoming more ingrained in legacy and TradFi, right? Like serious money and capital is interested in it. And everybody's wildly speculating on like what direction this thing is going to take. Is it money? Is it store of value? Like what is this that we're actually trading? And people are going to throw crazy money at it, trying to speculate which crypto assets are going to end up being Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, and Google. And most of them will die off and go to zero and be like askjeeves.com. Remember that thing? Askjeeves.com. You like asked a digital butler a question. It was a search engine. We got a lot of askjeeves.com in crypto right now, but guess what? People are going to use it, and it's going to be huge until suddenly it either goes to zero or it goes on to be a titan. So I think this idea of us being for crypto in the equivalent of what Tommy is illustrating right here is like 1995 to 1996. It makes a lot of sense to me, right? It makes a lot of sense to me where there's a lot of worthless junk out there that's going to catch a bid, and we're going to trade all of it. We love it. We will speculate. We'll be right there on the front line speculating. But knowing that, hey, we are about to probably enter the most speculative frenzy that we've seen since the late 90s when the internet was being speculated on. Is it going to stay? Is it going to stay the test of time? Is it going to actually change the world? A lot of people were writing articles about, crypto doesn't, or the internet is just a fad. Millions stop using it, all of our parents being like, why would I send an email when I can walk down to the post office and put it in an envelope with a stamp? Postage is great, And people are doing that with crypto right now. I don't understand it. It's not collateralized by anything. What's the value of it? I don't get it. Is it money? Is it store of value? Is it digital gold? Like, what is this thing? Well, the beauty of it is until we figure out what it is, we're going to get a chart that probably looks like the late 90s for the NASDAQ. That's my personal take on it. But anyways, guys, we're going to call the show here. Thanks so much for being here, guys. Before you go, please consider checking out the links below where you can navigate to our website. The BB terminal is out right now. You will see this on our premium section. It's got everything you could ever need or want to succeed in these markets, guys. Portfolio tracking, derivatives data, heat maps, spaghetti charts, high time frame DCA indicators, literally everything you could ever need or want. We're adding hundreds of new features coming out in the next couple months. So buy it now because prices will be going up, guys. Additionally, if you really want to take things to the next level, check out one of these two packages over here. The best one is for sure the gold package right here. BB Terminal, full access, plus Telegram alerts channel, full access, plus our Discord, full access, guys. And what you can expect from the Discord and the gold package is upwards of 3 hours per day of private live voice calls with me, Tommy, Louie, and the entire BB team and community, guys. I always say this, and I'm going to continue to say it because it's the truth. You need your group. You need your pack. I know paid groups are stigmatized. This is not like anything you've ever been a part of before. We do conference calls every single day with Q&A discussions, TA channels, private, positioning channels. We share everything that we're doing. You need guys you can trust. This market is simply too big and too vast to go at it alone. And we talk about and cover a lot of things that we don't talk about here on YouTube or on X. And again, there's no other community that is investing hundreds of thousands of dollars of precious capital and a year's worth of time building out a custom trading terminal and giving it to their Discord for no additional cost, guys. We are doing that. It's unlike anything you've ever been a part of before, so definitely give it a try. You will take your trading to the next level. My personal investing has gotten a lot better since I started BB and surrounded myself with the giga brains that I have, okay? So definitely consider joining us. We want to be that community for you. If we're not the community for you, then go find the right one, but you need to be a part of something. Guys that take it seriously, honest, trustworthy guys. We want to be those guys for you. If that is not your speed, guys, consider checking out the BB Academy. We got some free courses as well as a paid one, guys. If you thought the charting was great and you want to learn how to chart free, 100% free, how to make your charts look beautiful. I'm of the opinion that this stuff is very difficult to understand. And if you don't know how to smooth out the data and make it easy to digest and read, you're going to struggle. So I put together this free course, how to make your trading view charts look beautiful, guys. It's probably like 3 hours, give or take, something like that. Maybe a little bit less. I don't remember. But it's how I chart, right? So if you like my charting, you want to learn how to make your charts look great, check this one out. It's free. If you really want to level it up, take your game to the next level, check out the paid course, guys. It's got all of our tips, tricks, secrets, how we've cumulatively navigated these markets for years as a team, guys. A lot of people out there teaching TA for free, including us. There's a big difference between a paid product and a free product, guys. And I would encourage you to check this out right here, guys. Check out this course. It will save you a lot of time and money. You will learn the best strategies, okay? You will learn the best strategies. And last but not least, if none of this is for you and you're like, hey, these guys are sharp, I know they're winners, I don't have time to position and all this stuff, we are actually an SEC registered hedge fund as well. Check out the link below to our X account, BB Wealth Management. We can actually manage capital for you now. We've brought in millions of dollars already. Start has been great. We're probably like 4 months old, gotten off to a really, really strong start. If you want more information on that, fill out a contact form below. You can find it on our X page, BB Wealth Management down below. Again, we are an SEC registered hedge fund managed by the BB team. We would be happy to allocate capital for you and actually have you as a part of our fund. So check that out below. If you want more information, you can fill out a contact form and we will reach back out to you. Oh, I think we maybe missed a super chat here.
We got a couple.
We got a couple. Shoot, guys. Sorry, as we get to the end here, we kind of miss them a little bit. I don't know. Where was it? Oh, a $50. Okay, here it is. Who wants to take this one?
I mean, I can answer some of it. I don't know like some of the super technical intricacies about ETH, but I would say on the most foundational level, what ETH kind of needs to fix is it's inflationary rather than deflationary. That was kind of something that we saw shift. I can't remember what exactly the upgrade or whatever it was called, probably about a year ago was called, but that did kind of shift ETH from being a deflationary asset into an inflationary one. And as we've kind of outlined over the course of this week, crypto as a whole is seeing this gravitation of capital into storages of value, right? Whether they are storages of wealth like Bitcoin digitally, or whether or not they are speculative storage of values like meme coins, there's less appetite for inflationary assets, as we're already seeing with things like utility tokens, and really illustrated by ETH's underperformance relative to both Bitcoin and meme coins. And I would say that Solana's underperformance over the last few months has been because it's been a touch inflationary as well, as a result of meme coin dilution and pump.fund. But that would be the most base level thing I would say for ETH. Beyond that, I'm not super aware of all the technical intricacies, but I've never been too worried about ETH. I mean, ETH scalability hasn't really been a huge issue this cycle because we've had kind of an outlet in Solana that people could speculate on. So I guess that's something that we'll, Denkun, I guess is what it was called. Thank you, No Way, Jose, for the upgrade name. But yeah, that's what I would say for ETH. First, become deflationary again, become a storage of value, because that's what you're competing with in the rest of crypto, are storages of value. Or you become inflationary and you kind of appeal to a rising wave of liquidity. But if that's the case, then you need people to bid ETH. Beyond that, technical intricacies, I will leave that to someone like Naka, but that is not my speed.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, I know about as much as Tommy. That was a pretty good answer. I'm not the technical guy. Like, the best way I describe my skill set in crypto is like, I can drive a race car, but I can't build one. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not an engineer. I know enough about the engine of a car to explain it to, a middle schooler, but I'm not going to be the technical guy. We're more traders, but I think that was a pretty solid answer, Tommy. About as better than I could do. That's for sure. But yeah, I hope that helped a little bit. But here's the biggest fix for ETH. I'm going to tell it to you right now, plain and simple. Number go up. Number go up. The best tech, the best solution is number go up. That's all I can say. But yeah, also, guys, I forgot to mention, you can pay with crypto for all of our stuff. If you want to join us, try out the BB terminal plus Telegram, or jump in the Discord. You can pay with crypto, guys. You can pay with crypto. Brand new feature. It's great. So it's just like you just send some ETH over. It's nothing. It's nothing. It's much better than fiat. Just send some ETH over. So anyways, yeah, guys, thanks so much for being here. Please like and subscribe before you go, and check out the links below. Join us somewhere, right? Join us somewhere. Terminal plus Telegram, Terminal, Telegram, Discord, BB Academy, BB Wealth Management. Join us somewhere, guys. But if not, just leave us a like and a comment before you go. And everybody have a great weekend. We will see you guys next week. Take care.